Yeah, we have people joining. There's more people joining us into it. So to become a part of us. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the session today. If you can mute yourself as you join, that would be really appreciated. Two people. You would need to activate your audio as you join the program.
Yep. Hello.
Emmanuel, nice to see you.
Same here. The pleasure's mine.
Okay. And we'll start. Okay, it's already time. I think we can start. If you're all ready, we have our guest speakers ready to go. I'm here. I'm ready. Ready. Welcome to this session today. It's our 5th anniversary, and it is themed "Thrive, Not Survive" in a foreign land. So this is actually it's a monthly session for us as a company, Marshall Tech. We meet monthly to share experiences in the cybersecurity world. But we have dedicated this specific session to our 5th anniversary because we clocked 5 as a company yesterday, 16th February. That was 16th February 2019 was the day I carried myself to the registry and registered a company called Marshall Tech that has become what it is today. So we're grateful to God and we're grateful to everybody for believing in us and believing in the vision. Of course, without you, there is no us, definitely. So we appreciate it. We appreciate the journey, and it's definitely been a journey. So today's session is dedicated to celebrating success, not just our success as a company, but success in a foreign land, be it in a new career, in a new country, wherever that looks like for you. And we're hoping that you can take lessons from today's session to, of course, thrive further in a foreign land. Like I said, that's the theme for today. Thrive, not survive in a foreign land. I will just walk us through what the agenda looks like for today, and then we'll get right into it. So the first thing, like any other program, is to start with a welcome and introduction, which I'm doing right now. And from there, I'll pass it on to my co-founder and my lovely wife, Suliha, who will tell us a little bit about how this journey came about, especially focusing on the career coaching side, because I believe most of the people here, they are from that side of our business. I'm not sure we have anyone from the enterprise side of our business here today. So we're focusing more on that, and she will tell us a little bit about how that journey came about. From there, we'll move straight into the core of today's program, which is we have our guest speakers here, Bamishel Lusoji and Maya Kunshorebekun. They will be walking us through their journeys and how they've survived, how they've thrived, not just survived in foreign lands, wherever that looks like for both of them. They will be telling us today. And I hope we can take lessons from it and we can use it in our daily lives. And of course, there'll be time for question and answer. You can ask them anything. You can ask me, possibly any question you have bothering you. We'll be happy to answer. And that will take us to the end of the program, closing and acknowledgement. That will be some time for networking. Connect with yourselves, connect with us, and let's build a community together. That's what that looks like for us, and I will jump right into it. So to get us going, the company Marshall Technology, or Marshall Tech, depending on how you know it. Some of you have probably wondered, what does it even mean? Where did Marshall come from? If you haven't wondered before, maybe you're wondering right now that I'm saying it, right? So I'll tell you a little bit about how that came about and what it really means, or where we got that name from. But it's definitely not. So it's martial technology. It's definitely not martial art. It has nothing to do with martial art. It came from the eagle, martial eagle. So the martial eagle is one of the largest, probably the largest eagle on earth, and one of the most powerful, definitely. And it is from the sub-Saharan Africa. That's obviously where we're from Nigeria. And it's known for its adaptability and commitment to its purpose within the ecosystem. And when we look at where anyone that's been with us for a while would know that martial technology, our vision and everything we do is tied back to that. We have always found new ways of solving existing problems, be it for enterprise or for individuals trying to, of course, do something good with their lives, with their careers. We've always found new ways of doing it. That could be through project management, coaching, or cybersecurity coaching and training, whatever that looks like. We have always found new ways of helping the world because we believe that's our purpose within our ecosystem. Right. So that's where the name came from. That is the purpose we serve, and that's it's what is going to drive us in going into the future. One thing you can bet on if you work with us, if you engage with us, is we're committed to what we do, and we will deliver what we say we will deliver. And like I always say, or like I started saying recently, we will make sure we take care of ourselves for you. So if you take care of yourself for us, you know we're in business, and we can do great things together. With that said, I will, like it's time to tell a bit of story. I'll pass it to my lovely wife and co-founder, who has been I'll say the backbone of this company from day one. So, Celia, over to you. Tell us a little bit about how the
Thank
B2C
you.
business came to
Yeah, thank you, Mukhtar. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Before I dive into how the CSMP program came to be, I'm going to tell you a little story about myself. And you might be wondering, like, why she's going to tell us about herself. It's because both stories go hand in hand. We've moved across 3 different continents, like Mukhtar has said. We're from Nigeria, we've moved from Africa to Europe, and now North America, a place where we call home. But I've also moved across different industries. I've worked in healthcare, IT, and now cybersecurity. After spending like 5 years in my healthcare, in the healthcare industry, I decided to move to the IT industry as a system analyst. I did that for a few years, and I decided to move again, and I went into the cybersecurity field. I started my cybersecurity journey with a boot camp, just like most people do. It was good, I must say. It was a good training. But after completing the training, I was confused about where I want to go, how I want to move forward with it. And that is where my lovely husband here stepped in. He was already in the field, and he was able to guide my steps, was able to mentor me, focus on my strengths and not my weaknesses. And after doing all that hard work, coaching me and mentoring me, I was able to land a job as a cybersecurity professional. My first offer actually was a risk management lead. And after then, we met some other people that they were in my shoes, and we still helping them successfully transition them into this the cybersecurity field. But we could not help as many people as we wanted to because of our consulting engagement. So we decided to make it our business. We started helping in professionals from different backgrounds transit into the cybersecurity field, and not just to survive in the cybersecurity field, but strive in the cyberland. And with that said, I will be passed over to you, Mukhtar, if you can, take us right into the agenda of the day. Thank
Right.
you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that a little bit. So if anyone is wondering what CSMP means, it means Cybersecurity Management Professional, and then there's a coaching program. So it's a coaching program. Like you said, she was part of a boot camp. But then, and that's where the need came from, right? Boot camps help, and of course, they do what they're supposed to do. But then beyond that, what do you make of it? You need that touch. You need that hand that can hold you and show you the way. This is what you can do with it. This is what your past experience means. If anyone says because you're transitioning again to a foreign land, you have to start from scratch, I would say think again because you can do better than that, right? With that said, and we're right on time, I guess, we will move straight into the business of the day. No, you're not all here to just listen to myself and Celia talk. You're here to listen to our guest speakers tell their stories, and let's see how much we can take from them. So to get us going, I will pass it to Maya Kun to tell us about how he has moved within tech across industries, across the continent. So Maya Kun, over to you.
Thanks, DML. Thanks, Julia. Congratulations for 5 years. Interesting stuff. Because I knew when this was starting off, and then it's amazing, you know. Anyway, let me not go into that now. But thank you for the opportunity for this, and a big welcome to everybody on the call. Anybody that's just meeting me for the first time, my name is Mayokun Shoremekun. I'm originally from Nigeria. I'm still Nigerian, always Nigerian. And maybe tomorrow I might be Canadian, but I'm still Nigerian. Based in Ontario, Canada. I'm looking for the best way to answer this question. I'll just talk through how I started my career as a whole and how I transitioned and moved into other things generally. So I think for starters, I studied. So my case is a bit funny. I studied computer engineering to start with in OSU. I did that for about 2 or 3 years. And then halfway into the program, I realized that, oh my God, the course I was studying wasn't accredited. So I went to another school, that's Babcock. I went to start all over again. I studied computer science. Then this was the bedrock of everything. So somehow I had background in systems, and then I had this insight into how computer systems and all these kind of things work. So fortunately for me, in my service here, I was fortunate to be part of the last set of people that went into the banking sector, because immediately after that, you know, the government shut up that stuff. So I started out basically as an IT service administrator. In this role, I was doing things like everything under ITIL, that's IT infrastructure library, asset management, incident management, problem management. It's a service desk spectrum of activities. That's what I was doing basically. But then one day I sat down and I started thinking about my life. Like, is this how this is going to continue? How much is inside this thing? If I start having kids and having, you know, wives, I didn't say wives, wife. And I started looking at it. Let me see what else I can do. So I pivoted into managing projects. Now that's a story for another day. How I got into that role, it's an amazing thing, but it took a lot of curiosity for me to, you know, just hear into something I had totally no idea about. But I did it and it worked. A couple of years later, doing project management. By the way, I started in the banking sector. Um, doing about a couple of years later, the bank came up with this idea. They wanted to do digital transformation. It was Access Bank, by the way, for anyone that's familiar with the Nigerian banking industry. Um, so they wanted to do this digital transformation agenda, and then they were going to start with Agile. This was way back 2012 or something like that. They wanted to start Agile. And then they brought this consultant from the United States, a very senior consultant, and I was assigned to work with this person. And that opened up more opportunities for me. You know, I started leading Agile coaching session. I started helping with, you know, piloting projects on my own, basically something I didn't know. And that taught me something. Uh, Learning is good, but doing is better, right? I was willing to fail. I was willing to do anything just to make this work for me. So, and you know, as we say, that was history because that became successful. And then any new thing that they wanted to do in the bank, you know, they just called upon me because I was balling now as the agile coach. So I gave myself that name. I'm an agile coach now. Again, this is another lesson along the way. Whatever you say you are is what you are. Uh, people are going to say stuff about you, but you first of all have to believe in your own self first. You are your first marketer. Like if you don't market yourself well, people will not believe you. So, and that was it for me. I did about 9 years in the banking industry, of course, in different roles. Because I moved banks quite a bit. I was in FCMB, I was in Union, I was in Access, and in these organizations, one of those places I was the agile transformation lead, and I was the senior scrum master. And then in FCMB, when I was pivoting towards fintech and stuff like that, I became the head of Agile PMO. And when I went out of the banking industry, I just pivoted into the next cool thing, which was fintech. You know, because I had background in finance and then I had background in technology. I said, okay, you know what? Let me try my hands inside this thing. And then, I started doing stuff in fintechs. I worked with a couple of fintechs as well. Resource Energy, for anybody that knows Resource Energy, this is one of the fintechs I worked with. And then fast forward, I became the chief operating officer in AppZone. I was leading like 8 portfolios under me in that space. But then at this point, my eyes was already open because I now know that anything is possible. And money was inside things. Okay, let me let me see how far more I can push this. So I then pivoted into consulting proper. Like, and these were mostly contract opportunities. And I tried it in Nigeria, it worked. And when I found that this was actually possible, then I went into Togo. I did something with I wouldn't like to be calling names now because it will be international companies. But I started with HP to 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 start with to begin with. Now, how I got that job, that's another story. I can give you the inside just later. But yeah, I started with HP and they were supposed to do something. It's a private confidential project we were doing in Togo back then. And that was successful. I moved, I did something in France. Then fortunately we moved to the UK. I did something in Kenya, Netherlands, US. And in January, for those wondering how long have I been in Canada, really just a year. I came in fully in January last year. And I can tell you things have been awesome for me so far. Uh, that's the barest minimum I can say about my journey till date. And I'd say I just believed it was possible. And yeah, it's working for me. It's working, actually working for me. So back to you, DML. Sorry, my answer was very long, but I needed to go through that. I think you're muted.
I realize I'm on mute. So I just have before I pass it to Bamish, I just have a quick question on that. And you've given us like a sneak peek into your journey, really. And you said you believed, and of course, a lot of people can believe, right? But, but that's something you do, like you did, because you moved a lot, like you said, you moved a lot. Was there something pushing you to take that next step and then the next step, or what was it or was there something you were targeting specifically?
Okay, to be honest, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I knew what I was doing. I think I was just very curious. The truth is, no, because people don't tell you this thing. You just see somebody, fantastic guy, huh? And it's like, yeah, I plan my step this way and I work this way. No, I I was hungry. I was curious, and I kept showing up. Right, I just kept on showing up. Who can do this thing? I can do it, and then I'll go back and read up on that thing. Oh, can you do this thing? Yeah, 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 I can do it. Because my philosophy is I would never say I can't do something. I'll say I can't do it yet. Yet. Because the reason I can't do it is because I've not learned how to do it. So why can't I learn? So I was curious and I was always showing up. And I think another thing that helped me is I got exposed to the world of certifications earlier. Now, does certification mean you get the job or you get the job done? No, not necessarily. But certification is like, say, like the word certification says the industry that you're working with has certified you as knowledgeable in that area. So even if you know that thing, sometimes you need somebody to be able to speak on your behalf. And that's what that certification did for me, having the things like PMB, ITIL, COVID, and all of those helped me. Of course, personal improvements, smile always, improve upon your confidence, learn a new language. I started learning French, guys. This is my 4th year learning French. And again, this is another topic I'd like to talk about, but this is one of the things I'm doing. Now, I'm learning French. I don't know where it will become applicable, but I know something in Canada. 98% of the job force that we're currently working in now is in the English market. If you go on your LinkedIn today and search for your desired role, put a space and put a plus, then put bilingual, you will see amazing opportunity in the French market that is yet untapped. Now, I just assume that maybe tomorrow when I say Joe Mapel, this come out with Appel, oh, and then I start earning in the millions and stuff like that. For me, certifications, personal improvement, and of course, I leveraged my network. Even while I was abroad, wherever in the world I was in, I was always in touch with people in Canada. DML is one of my go-to guys, and a couple of groups I joined. Even this was years before coming in here. I knew I was going to come here anyway, but I wanted to explore the market before coming in. So I leveraged that market, and that was one of the things that helped solidify my landing. Because my landing, immediately I came, it was almost like everything is new for this guy. You're so lucky, Omo. I wasn't lucky. I think I just preempted things ahead of time and then started working towards this kind of stuff. So that was it for me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. You know what you just said? I was actually going to say that luck sometimes, so in fact, luck gets made, right? Some people get luck gets made. Preparedness meets opportunity. That's what luck is all about. If you're not ready for it, if you're not confident to take it on, nothing will happen really. Thank you for sharing that. That's a beautiful, beautiful story for sure. And I will move to I'm sure I don't want to keep him waiting for too long. I will move to Bamishe, tell us a little bit about his story. And I'm sure people have questions. Then from there we can jump into questions. I have my questions too, but we can open it up. Yes, we'll have more time for questions. So Bamishe, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, DML. I'm very happy, excited to be here to share my story, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here today. It's not something that I take for granted. Unlike Malcolm, I had my background in clinical sciences. I studied chemistry, majored in clinical chemistry, and while I was done with my youth service, Guarantee Trust Bank came and took away my desired goal to do my master's and PhD in pharmacology. So, and of course, it was an offer that I couldn't say no to. And trust me, at that time, it was just the best place to be. I mean, I remember my first salary. I was like, well, I mean, I'd always had high hopes for myself, but I just didn't think that I was going to earn even half of that. So I told myself that I was just going to stay with them for like 3 years and then start pursuing my MSc and PhD in pharmacology. But it never happened. Because I mean, they made you feel very comfortable. It was just a great place to be. The empowerment was there and all that. So I started in banking operations. I mean, what everyone knows as operations. So that was my background. Now I knew from training school that I didn't have interest in anything like counting or auditing. So I was certain about the things I didn't want to do, and I was certain that I also don't want tech. To me, at the time, when you mentioned tech, it was just all about coding that would come to my head. And I just didn't, I mean, I didn't fancy that. So I was sure about those two things that I didn't want either of them. Fast forward, uh, I changed organization at some point after I'd done like 7 years in Candy Trust Bank. I moved to consulting, did a bit of like a year, a stint about like 18 months, and then came back to banking. I joined Union Bank at a time when they were restructuring and there were a lot of transformation going on in the bank. And back to banking operations, but at this time, it was more at a leadership level. So I was open to opportunities where, of course, like I said, they were changing a lot of things. So I became more like a subject matter expert in bringing on board, okay, process improvement, which gave back to a lot of projects. And that was actually my entry into being on projects. Aside being being in a functional role, I also I was also part of like subject matter experts in different kind of projects that touched banking operations specifically and service. Um, and I was very grateful that I mean I had that experience. I didn't know how useful it was going to be later on in the years. But when I knew that, I mean, Buhari came into power, things weren't looking well, and I started looking at this opportunity of probably exploring other countries. I mean, moving out of Nigeria. By the way, I've always wanted to live in Nigeria. I didn't have plans to leave Nigeria at all. And one of the major reasons why I never even explored was because I didn't want to go to another country and not to be fulfilled, just doing anyhow kind of job. And the stories we had back then is that it was just difficult for you to be a professional. I mean, you go to North America, like you want to be competing with people that scored. I mean, my first degree was in University of Illinois, I had an MBA in OAU. Like, how do you want to compete with those that, I mean, went to Ivy League schools, and what's your experience? Who knows the organization that you work with? So I just kind of like perished that idea of, I mean, moving abroad to live. But at the time when, like I said, it didn't just look bright in Nigeria, I started to think like, maybe I should start exploring. At the time when I made up my mind I was going to move to Canada, I actually spent 2 years doing research of what I was coming to do. It's not just the excitement of moving to a new country. I knew I was eligible to move, but the concern for me was, what would I be doing in this country? And like I said, I mean, from day one, I usually tell my wife, like, I can't go and for boy in a foreign man's country. I mean, I won't do that. It's not because I'm not humble. It's just that I won't just get that satisfaction, that fulfillment out of it. So I wanted to be sure where I was going. And like my uncle said, I started looking into so many things. I attended a lot of paid webinars. I mean, it looked like I was crazy, like spending money to just learn things. I remember some of my colleagues would wonder, like, why do you always join these meetings? And honestly, I was just open to just knowing things. The interesting thing that happened was I found out a lot of many things that would see online. Sometimes you read so many things online. Not that the information are wrong, but they are not complete. So you cannot use them to make a very valid decision. So now the big question for me was, okay, I wasn't planning to become a bank MD. So I knew that I really don't want to build a career in banking, for example. So I was thinking about, so what could I transition to? And I didn't want to lose. I mean, at this time, I'd had about like 13, 14 years experience, combined experience in banking. I felt, okay, let me transition to something that would help me utilize the skills and the experience I've had. I explored so many things, and I think my wife also resonated this. I didn't know what I wanted, but one thing I was sure was I knew the things I didn't want to do. I was very sure about that. And also, it was about the time when a lot of things were happening in the tech world, and this in thing, everybody moving to business analysis, moving to project management. I didn't just want to just follow the path in that way. I started to ask myself to define my objectives. Okay, what's my short-term objective? What's my long-term objective? And my situation was quite unique because I wanted to transition from the industry where I was, and I also wanted to move to a new country. I got a lot of feedback like, do it gradually, do it once at a time. But honestly speaking, after I'd done my research, there were two things I was sure about. I was sure that I'm looking for a 6-figure salary job in Canada, and I was honestly sure that I was going to get it. Secondly, I made up my mind like, okay, I'll move to the project management side of things. Since it's a combination of a whole lot of things, and it will give me opportunity to actually work across different industries. So I felt I had an experience to play in that space, and I've been involved in a couple of technology, digital transformation projects. So moving to Canada, even though I didn't have a job in Canada, was easy for me because I had the knowledge already. The second thing I did was I started connecting with people that live in Canada. Of course, one of them was DML at the time. I mean, anything that was going to give me information, especially not just unvalidated information, I mean information from someone, from empirical data, from someone that is already practicing, that was what I was looking for. So I started connecting with different people, connected with DML, joined groups, and I got a lot of insights. And many times it just solidified my thought that, this is possible. The next thing I did was I harvested all my achievements. I mean, I did all this back in Nigeria. I harvested all my achievements, all my skills. I had to start looking at them like, okay, and of course that built confidence in me. And I realized that I'd done so much that I should be able to put this off in this new country. And that was why I just took off. Yeah, I left my job and I came to Canada without any job. Like I said, my objective was clear. I knew what I was looking for. At the time I was transitioning to project management. I didn't want core tech project, but I knew that at the time, if you're talking about projects in Canada, you have a lot more vacancies around tech projects. Even if they were business enablement projects, they have a lot of, tech innovations coming into that. So I felt, okay, I could pull that off. Again, I started looking at what are the certifications, because you're coming from a country that's probably not known, and this is the truth. There are so many people that probably have never even heard of Nigeria. Living in North America, it's very strange. It should be strange to us that they really don't know about so many other countries. They are comfortable with their country. Why should they learn or know anything about? Even people that you think they're exposed, they don't know a country called Ghana. They don't know a country called. So I wanted to put myself in a position where they would be able to validate my experience, and that's where certifications come in. When you have like global certifications, they'll be able to say that, okay, it's validated. So I did a couple of certifications as well, just to prepare myself. And when I came in, I started applying. This time around, like I said, I was sure that I was going to get what I was looking for, because it's coming from a place of knowledge. One of the myths was that I busted was that you had to go to a school in Canada before they will look at you. Like you got to, get a degree, a Canadian degree, or coming from a school that is known. And I know that in Canada, honestly, if your qualification is not coming from Canada, US, or the UK, every other country is just packed the same way. So I didn't have, all my degrees were in Nigeria, but I realized that that's not in Canada. I realized that all my research, I realized demonstrating what you can do. When an hiring manager meets you and you're able to convince them, they can see that you do it. Many times they will try you out. That's the truth. 3 out of 5 will try you out. So I didn't have to go back to school. Another myth is, a lot of people told me that you are too ambitious. You have to start from somewhere. Don't looking at some of these jobs here. If you're looking to move to project management, for example, start from like a project coordinator. And as I was hearing many of these things, I was deleting them immediately. But thankfully, like I said, I belonged to a network of people that had done these things themselves. So they were also able to validate my experience. DML was one of them. I remember he asked me one question, how much money do you have that can last you without getting a job? And that was just for him to tell me that just stay on what you're looking for. So, and I stayed on it, and eventually I actually got multiple offers. I got 2 jobs at the time. Now, the interesting part is this, and this is just each time I remember this story myself, I usually feel excited for myself, and also to buttress what Mario said, that you just got to believe in yourself. These 2 jobs I got, they were both in energy industry. So it's not in banking. It's an industry which I've never even played in. One of the role was in cybersecurity. It's not a place, I've not done any project in cybersecurity before. While the other one was just a very core energy project. Now, I knew what I wanted at the time. As much as I wanted 6-figure salary job, I also wanted to really know my stuff. I don't want to work in a place where I can't speak to things. I knew where I was already in Nigeria, and I wanted to be in that position. So what made me to evaluate those 2 offers was one was in a crown corporation, the other was in a mid-sized company. So the one in the crown corporation actually offered more. It was 6-figure salary job, but I didn't choose that because I know the nature of structured organization. once you get there, your role is your role. You will not be able to look into so many things to learn. And at that time, I just wanted to learn about so many things. So I wasn't driven by money as much as I wanted the competition part of it. I felt the other one was also going to give me opportunity to learn different kinds of project. They do integration projects. So I felt, let me get my hands dirty, and I chose the other one. And of course, the compensation was not 6 figure, but near 6 figure actually. So I was very comfortable with that. Now, something interesting happened when during the hiring process, and that's buttress the fact that, like I said, if you're able to demonstrate to hiring managers what you can do, trust me, you'll be hired. So the company has a transparent process, hiring process. You would see where you are at every stage. At the point, I knew I was at the last stage of the interview. I had the interview and I knew that it was either I get an offer or, oh, sorry, we are moving on with another candidate. But they reached out to me and they told me that there's going to be another interview. And they said the reason was because there was a tie. And guess what? They told me that I had a tie with another candidate. I looked at the candidate. The candidate had over 10 years experience in the energy industry. She's a Canadian. And wow, I mean, that just pumped my confidence. Like, oh, really? So I could actually have a tie with someone. I mean, I just felt like this is great. Eventually, I got the job, and the feedback I got after I got that job was my director told me that there was a question I answered that when they were reviewing my answer within the board, that it caused a sharp division. Half said that was not the best approach. Others said no, that approach was on point. Said it cost, heated argument that the CEO said, okay, you know what? This is the kind of person we need that will come and disrupt our thinking and make us to think more. So, I didn't think I could pull all these things off. And trust me, it's just one of the projects I did in the bank that I used to as a major touch point during this hiring process. Cut the long story short, I got in for what I wanted, and I kept my engagement with the contacts with the network I made. I realized sometimes that's a mistake some people also make. Once you get what you want, you probably detach yourself. So I kept engaging folks like DML, Mario Con, several other people around how things work around here. And that actually was what made me to create my own roadmap of what I wanted to do in the long term. Remember, I didn't have a core tech background. I didn't have computer science degree, and I'd never really worked in core IT. But today, I'm in digital technology, core digital technology. I'm the head of enterprise applications, and in my organization and cybersecurity, helping them to mature the information security management system. Now, my greatest learning point is self-awareness is key. Understanding your capacity, understanding what are your key strengths. And the way you know is what are your coworkers, your colleagues, people that know you, what do they say about you? People always comment about you. Take note of some of those comments. It shows that that's what they see. And there's also another thing which was very helpful to me was, and I learned this when I was in Guarantee Trust Bank. For you to have like an A-star appraisal rating, there's something you must do. You must write your performance achievement list yourself. And these justifications are around about 5 critical things. So every year I usually write, it's not just even because of appraisal, it's just for my own personal consumption. I usually write this achievement down. So during this my transitioning journey, what I just did was just to pull many of these things off. And like I said, it gave me insight into what my key strengths are. And honestly, today is still what I'm doing here. What I did in Nigeria is still the same thing I'm doing here. Like, my strength is in leadership and strategy. I know that it's easy for me to manage people. And while I was trying to even now go into the trenches of cybersecurity, I didn't start at the level where most people would want to come in, like go and become an analyst. No, I don't know how to configure a firewall, but I understand the strategy behind why we want to configure. So it's easier for me. I mean, I give direction to the technical folks on what to do. And how did I learn some of these things? It's actually in engaging with people. I mean, you hear stories of how people, it's just like the way we are sharing our stories today. You hear stories of how people move, and then you're able to plot how your own strategy would look like, the mistakes, the trials and errors they make. You would not be able to get into that glorious spot. And that's one of the things that's helped me. So in a nutshell, I would say that two top things for me is the network and also being self-aware about what my capacities are.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that's you shared a lot. I was actually going to ask you, okay, you touched on it too. Your transition, so you moved from no tech background to IT project management, now into cybersecurity. That's like you taking it like deeper, because cybersecurity is not like it's not general tech. Was there something? Well, okay, let me say, at what point did you decide, okay, it's time to take that next step? Was there something that helped you make that decision, or you just, what was it? At what point did you, okay, two things. Did you decide to make that move? And the second part is, at what point did you feel like, okay, you could do it?
Okay, I mean that's a great question. After I transitioned into IT projects, I mean I changed jobs, and this time around I was moving to core technology. I mean, I was so sure that I won't pass beyond the probation period. I just told myself, let me just try and just keep my records clean. That after the first 3 months, I can just leave, because I didn't even know that. I didn't know at the time whether it was a wise decision, but I just felt let me just go there. But I realized that it's not just even just in 5 months in that role I was promoted. So that gave me I mean, I became very confident that me I can pull things off. I just realized that, and after a while I realized that okay, I was looking for okay, so what's the next challenge? Like I'd stabilized at this time, so I was thinking like okay, so what does the future looks like for me? Like I said, it was continuous engagement with folks that have done this, that have gone ahead of me. I wanted to just know how they arrive at their current role. And I realized that, okay, as a project manager, it's not like there's any particular, I mean, you can grow your the scope of your project in budget, in scope, but if you're looking to become like climb the ladder in a certain way, you start thinking about probably moving to a functional area. So that conversation started for me, and I realized, like I said, that risk management, it's like a bread and butter for me. So I felt, yeah, cybersecurity would be a great place to move into. And I think that's where Marshall Tech also came in. Uh, I had conversation with them, more like a coaching program, and I realized that I'd done already so many things in cybersecurity that I didn't even know. I mean, I was just talking about an achievement that I made, and like, yeah, that's around data privacy and all that. And honestly, that just gave me a boost. Thinking like, okay, this is the right thing for me to do. So the time after I'd stabilized in my role, I started feeling like, okay, I should start looking at the next steps, and engaging helped me to, I mean, having value-based conversation, not just network is great. And I think almost everyone on this call would agree that, yeah, it's a critical part of progress. But the truth is, what do you actually do with the network you have? It's not just trying to reach out to get referral. I mean, referral is great if you're looking for it, but it goes beyond just looking for referral. It's really defining what you want and engaging with whoever you're engaging to give you insights. Like I said, if I wanted to move into cybersecurity, maybe I would be thinking about starting as a SOC analyst. But it was out of all these numerous engagement that I realized that, I mean, it's just wise for you to start as a security manager level. and which eventually happened for me. So there's a lot of value in engaging, I mean, especially experts that have been in this field. And that's where I would recommend Masha.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, I didn't even know you would go there, but thank you. Right. Okay. So we're Mayako, do you have anything? I have a question for you, but if you have something you want to say something before I ask that question,
No,
if
no,
not, I
no,
can
let's
ask the question and then open the floor.
yeah, let's go ahead because I'm gonna at the time as well.
Right. Okay. Okay. So I guess because you mentioned, and I have a question for you as well, Bamji, but I'll let others ask their questions first. So, but for you, Martin, you mentioned knowing what you want and having like always showing up. Did that have to do with a positive mindset, like, oh, I can do it, I can do anything, or what role did again positive mindset play in your journey?
Positive mindset is the bedrock of everything. I think in order to achieve anything, if we check anybody that's achieved something great in this, especially in this our lifetime, you notice that they just dared to do something that nobody has ever tried before. Or, they didn't necessarily have idea of how to go about it. For them, it was just the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. The one willing to go the 200 yards is what's the next thing I can do right now? Again, Bamishi said a lot of wonderful, very, very wonderful things. Self-awareness. If you don't convince yourself that you can do something, how do you want other people to even believe you? So the first thing for me, in fact, when I got into Canada, because I discovered Canada was a totally different environment from everywhere I've been. I thought I traveled a lot, but when I got to Canada, it was a bit different. And I was telling DML this thing. I think this was in March last year. When I got into the country, I started connecting with some of my peers, people on my level. And when I say my level, people that maybe we went to school together that I've always known. And I remember connecting with one person. This person is in Alberta, and like, I started sharing wonderful ideas how we can do things. For instance, one issue I had was, my credit rating became zero, something that was already up in the UK. I mean, I don't know now, we spent money. This thing was supposed to reflect, but in Canada, it was zero. I'm like, how can we start, maybe we can build an application that will help you move your credit history and migrate it into the country. And I was telling this person, and then this person just looked at me and laughed, saying, Mario, you've not changed. This is not possible now. You're in Canada. Wake up. Say, wake up. And this is how most people think. Don't blame them. You have to, first of all, know what you can do, know who you are relating with, and don't limit your network to the people you've always known. Try to look for people that are already in the field, people that are already doing what you want to do, which necessarily means you're going to have some uncomfortable friends that will intimidate you. But there's something you're trying to achieve. Move close to them. They've made all the mistakes for you already. How about go and learn it from them now? This for me worked. I'll give you another instance where this kind of thing worked for me. In Nigeria, uh, for the sake of confidentiality, I'll just give a rough estimate. I was a very senior officer in Nigeria, and my salary was just a bit above 2 million every month. 2 million in Nigeria. Big boy. When I moved into Canada and I was going to do negotiations and stuff like that, I sort of just converted the money in my head, and roughly it was like maybe like 60K. I'm like, yeah, maybe I can ask for 60K because this is what I'm used to. Of course, I mean, outside outside of the contractual engagements I've had, those ones were always in FX. But in trying to it was more like I was translating what I was doing in Nigeria and I was trying to use it to match this environment. What I forgot totally is I've left that environment. That is in my past. I'm in another reality now, and I need to fit my expectation with what the reality of the country is saying. And then I started speaking with DML and a couple of other people, and this was the way DML saw me, and this is very important. people see you even bigger than sometimes the way you see yourself. You might just think, oh, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing it. Like, oh boy, you know what if you get. And DML said, you have to charge them this amount. And this amount DML was saying was almost times 4. What was that? I said, guy wants to put me in trouble. And but and one thing for me is if this guy said he has done this thing and it works for him, I can do it now. I can do it. So when I got into those interview sessions, and they asked me all the questions. I started giving them. Again, no experience is useless. Please, if you did project management in Nigeria, you did cybersecurity analysis in Nigeria, there's no Oyinbo internet and Yoruba internet. Everything is internet, right? If you were doing it somewhere else, it is the same thing they're doing here. Exactly the same thing. Nothing is different. So first of all, know that every experience you have matters. Even till today, everything matters. The only thing is you are doing it in a different environment. It's the same thing. The way they drive car is the same way they drive car in Nigeria. You press throttle, you press brake, you hold the handbrake. It's the same thing. So knowing that, first of all, settling it in your heart is the bedrock. The next thing is, so I was talking about negotiation, right? I think I'm already talking too much topic. Come on. Okay. And they asked me, so in terms of salary expectation, what do you want? My mind, first of all, defaulted to 60K, 70K. I mean, that was the first thing my mind thought about. Because 2 million, that's big money. And then I said, wait, oh, DMS said he has been able to earn this kind of amount. And this other person too said, I said, what's the budget? And the person told me, oh, with your experience and everything you said, I don't know, the budget might be too low for you. They're offering 150K for the job, blah, 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 blah. In my mind, I say, yeah, 150. I said, well, that it's a bit low.
Did you listen? Okay, I think it's, or is it just my network?
No, we can hear you, DML. I
Not
think.
just you.
Oh, okay. I think,
The money
like
was too
if you
much.
can hear us,
You did hear that, DML? They said the money is too much. That's why you couldn't hear.
Okay, I hope we get him back. Well, the critical point, I know, right? I don't want to fill in the blank for him. Let's hope we can get him back and he can finish that story really. I think he will rejoin. So as we're waiting for him, and of course, I know everyone knows where he stopped. Does anyone have a question for Bamishi, myself, or Sulia while we're waiting for him to rejoin? Remember, today is not all about cybersecurity. It's really about thriving and not just surviving in a foreign land. And we have people here that have done it, and they're still doing it. So please ask questions. You've heard their stories. I know I deliberately decided not to tell my story today because I guess it's not all about me today. It's about everybody else. So, well, yeah, if you have any question, Elizabeth, I see your hand up. Please go ahead.
Hi everyone, good morning.
Good morning.
Um, okay, I have a question and I also have an insight to share. Now, I am currently in school for cybersecurity and my program is coming to an end. Honestly, I joined the meeting to just see what the meeting is about because I came across Julia's sponsored advert on Instagram and just decided to fill my details because it's a woman like me talking, right? So I felt, okay, this could be a good one. Let me just join and see. And honestly, I was thinking I'll just be here for 5 minutes, but this is almost halfway into it and I'm still here. So that means I'm getting value. Now, my program is coming to an end. I'm a bit confused where to go. And that statement from Sulia resonated with me. A lot of us are somewhere here. We're trying to find our footing. We don't know what to do. And it just seems like, okay, so this might be the right place for me to be in, and I'm here. Then I hear stories from Bamishi and Mayoko, and I'm like, okay, these guys have like a wealth and plethora of experience that I can't match. So I'm wondering, do I have to be like that to actually thrive? My background back home is aviation. I have zero experience I can transfer. And that's why I quickly realized that in order for me to stay in the domain like IT, cybersecurity, I would probably need to go back to school. And this is what I've done. 2 years program coming to an end, but I'm confused. I don't know what to do next. Now, I have gotten most of what they said about knowing your objectives, listen to what people say about you, leverage on what you've done in the past. I've gotten all of that. How does your organization help people in especially people like me? When I say people like me, I'm talking zero experience whatsoever. Are we able to actually thrive in this IT space? Is that a reality? Or do I have to be like Bamishi or Mayokun or yourself? Please be honest. A sister needs it.
Can I take this? Can I take this?
Sorry, Titi, before you say it, let me just say something. I'll come to you. And Maya, we're coming back to you. We lost you at a very critical point, so you have to complete that story. So let me just say
Their
that.
their profiles is intimidating.
Don't worry, your profile can be like that. Yeah, it's a process. And okay, Tutu, go first before I say what I need to say.
Sorry, I didn't catch your name. Elizabeth?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, yes.
Okay.
Hi, Tutu.
Hi. I actually wanted to take this for a reason. I'm gonna say I have basically appointed myself as the mental coach for um for Marshall Tech. I'll tell you why. So I started out as an admin assistant. That has been, oh, did I bring my charger? Yes, I did. So that has been my own background. So you coming in from an aviation point of view, you are light years ahead of me. I'll give you, I need to plug in my computer real quick and I'll tell you.
Okay. Okay.
So, all right. So as someone that comes from a background of an admin assistant. And when I say an admin assistant, like I mean like from high school, my background has been like call centers. Okay. So you in the aviation industry, you're probably more qualified to say that you're a cybersecurity specialist than I am. Okay. Now, let me tell you why, like Mayor Kuhn and Bamike were saying, you cannot convince someone else about who you are until you
Yeah.
have convinced yourself about who you are. And the world is going to accept you based on who you tell them you are. So if you're having those sort of like doubts, I would say work on figuring out your own self. And here's how I did it. The way I came to that conclusion was kind of by force for me. And Mukta, you've heard this story before. So I was applying to jobs, and one of my the people that I put on as a reference, like he's a very like straightforward guy. He'll tell you what it is. If you're doing good, he'll tell you. If you're not doing good, he'll tell you. So when I was leaving the organization I was at, he was like, "Yeah, you can put me as a reference." So I put him as a reference, and I sent him my resume, sent him the job description, and he comes back and says, I'm sorry, but I can't, like, all the things that you put as, that you did at this organization, I cannot say that you did that. Can you explain? But then he goes, can you tell me how you did these things? And that's why I said it was by force, because then I had to think, okay, like every single, like he literally only said he could speak to one line, and I had like 12 lines for that part of the resume. So I had to go back and remember the things that I did and show, like, on this project, this is what I did. On this project, this is what I did. Like, point by point and explain to him how I did that. So he forced me to have to like defend myself and defend my resume. That exercise, at first he got it back and he was like, okay, yeah, sure, I can maybe accept like 3 of these things. What about the rest? So I had to start explaining to him that by me doing these things, like these tasks, they're not called the same things in that industry, but it's the same thing. But it's called something different in that, like in the cybersecurity industry, but it's the same thing. So when I explained it to him, he was like, okay, I see what you did. I see. And then he could speak to it. So when you're saying you have zero experience, even Bamishe's face was like, I don't think so. Like,
Exactly.
like said, when you said that you were coming from the aviation industry and then you said you have zero experience, like in my head, I'm like, you don't even know what you have. Like compared to me, I went to like I don't get me wrong. I schooled in Canada. I went to one of the best schools in Canada, but I studied sociology, and I still put it on my resume that I studied sociology. So don't be intimidated by these guys. Don't get me wrong. I am intimidated too, but like, don't be intimidated by what they're putting on there. And like, but you like the first thing you have to address is your own confidence in yourself. If you're not convinced about what you can do, the world is not going to accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for
So
that.
everywhere I go now, I tell people that I am a cybersecurity specialist. To the point now that even like I was telling DML that like I have speaking engagements
Yeah.
on cybersecurity. I started out in the call center. So you have tons of more experience than I do. I'll stop there.
Yeah, thank you, Titi, for that. And
Thank
you
you.
actually got to what I wanted to talk about. And I was going to ask you, so do you have your aviation experience, is it as an aviation
Ground hand.
engineer or pilot?
No, ground handling. So I basically had a crucial security training after 9/11, and that is what brought.
And did you
I
say you don't?
know.
I thought you said you don't have any experience.
The
Okay,
reason, okay, so the reason why I say this to you is while still in school,
absolutely.
I've tried to go into some cybersecurity roles. I got a contract with BMO as a
Mhm.
junior cybersecurity analyst,
Okay.
which lasted for 3 months, but it wasn't renewed. I'm still waiting to hear if that will be renewed. Then I got a technical support role with Motorola,
Mm.
and I struggled because it was core technical
Yeah. Maybe you're
job.
looking in the
And
right direction.
yeah, I know, right? I'm confused. I don't know what to do.
Okay,
So
I
I
will let
have,
Bamishe speak to your question, and then we'll go back to
yeah,
Maricon to complete his story before, of course, I
okay.
will let others ask question.
Okay, Elizabeth, just not to take this to overflow this, I would recommend that you probably have some coaching sessions because sometimes this is what will help you. Remember what I said? I harvested my own experience individually first.
I have
From what
written
I
that down.
know, from what I know, you are even in an industry where a whole lot more of cybersecurity professionals will not be able to relate with.
Absolutely.
That's only, and you know what,
Mm.
what you currently do right now, it's even very critical to, for example, there are some equipment that it's only in aviation that you can use it.
Absolutely.
It's only people that work in aviation that understands how it works. No one else would understand. So you are even in a position to launch yourself out. But like I said, sometimes conversations would help you to bring some of the things. As you are engaging, you start realizing some things. Oh,
Yeah,
I've done this. And I like what Adetutu said. See, naming nomenclature is very important, which we need to, we should take into consideration. Sometimes the way we call it back home in Nigeria is different from what they call it here, but it's the same thing. What one industry calls it is different from what another industry calls it, but it's the same thing. So I would really recommend you to probably go through a coaching session. and then you would be able to, I mean, to come alive to you that you've done a whole lot of things already in the security space.
Yeah, thank you, Amshi. You know, the interesting thing with
Thank
my
you.
so yeah, Elizabeth, we actually had, I think it was late last year, we had a pilot on our program, and it was the same thing. I'm not sure I can do this, and I mentioned to her, I said, if I don't think you can do it, you will not be here. Really. I'm 6 weeks into it. I was like, oh my God. You in the aviation industry, you live by the rule book almost every time. You can't go against the rule book. Some people
Yeah.
set those rules. You get audited every time. You're part of audit. Maybe you even audit others. Like
Yeah.
there's so many things you do. Your job is risk based. Every day, your job is risk based because there's a lot that can go wrong. And if one
Yeah.
thing goes wrong, it can be life changing, it can be critical, or in fact, it's usually critical, right? So there's so much going for you in that space that you can leverage. So don't ever think you don't have experience. What you need, like everyone has said, is coaching and mentorship, really, to
Thank you.
harvest. Yeah. Okay, besides I see your hand up, please let's go back to my story. Let's complete that story. Then we'll come back. We'll come to your question.
Okay, thanks. And sorry about that. It was my network.
Yeah,
I think I think everybody here has spoken about my story one way or the other. And so maybe I won't belabor it. It's speak to people. It's good that we started talking about mentorship. I like the way I did you to put it, and just Bamishe buttressing that point. One core thing maybe we need to understand is everybody has some skills that are transferable. It's called transferable skill regardless of where you learned it. Immediately, Elizabeth started talking about aviation, and then she talked about ground handling. The first thing that entered my head was risk management. I think, I think for some reason, maybe because we are already into it, we've been able to move with some of these guys,
Yeah.
with DML and team. We've trained ourselves to see things from another angle because it's all perspective. Everything is all perspective. You've done everything. I'm a Christian, apologies, guys. But even the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. You've done everything, right? Just see it like that. And then ask yourself, everything I've learned, how can I transfer it into this role? So ground handling, you are managing risk, especially. I don't care if you're not doing it on your computer and it's not cyber. It is a risk, and you're managing it. You can put that in project management. You can put it in incident management. You can put it in cybersecurity. It's a core skill that you have. I was telling a joke about how this call is built to protect the brain. But it won't take long for you to know that you actually need your brain to protect the skull itself. So this thing is just about how you see things and about how you're able to apply it. For me, building a personal, this positive mindset, I can recommend books for you, right? Start with reading something like Think Big. It's by Ben Carson. Then you can also read Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. But if you're lazy and you don't feel like, feel like this reading is a long thing, sign up for Marshall Tech. Sign up. These guys have done it. Now DML or Sulia or Data2, they're not paying me to do this. Maybe you give me money, I'll do it better. But they've done it right. And the reason this program sort of differentiates itself from what every other person is doing is what other people are doing is they're teaching you the stuff. They're teaching you the stuff. And you remember one thing I said? I said learning is good, which is where the teaching aspect comes in. But doing is better. This is because most people here, in fact, everybody on this call, I believe, has one experience or the other. So, we come in here to say, okay, do it like this, do it like this. It's almost sounding boring to you because you've done stuff, right? Some of you have even risen to senior leadership role. You're probably at the point in your life, asking, what's the next thing? Everybody is yearning for something. And maybe they just need someone to direct them and say, you know what, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. That is where Marshall Tech comes in. They are not just trying to teach you about cybersecurity. They will expose you to how on the job this will look like. So for instance, what Elizabeth is afraid of, I mean, let me use the example of Scrum Masters. You could go online and read free stuff about Scrum Mastership, or you do daily stand-up. We all know that. But when they put you on the job, how do you stand the stand-up? What do you say? But on the job, hand holding, the mentorship. This is what Markel Tex helps you to do. So, and I think that's what most people on this call is looking for. We're not trying to recreate something new that doesn't exist. We're just saying, now that I'm ready to move, now that I'm ready to take the next step, what do I need to do? And I think you should just probably give these guys a try. Pay me for my advert. I know this was I know this
Okay.
wasn't about advert.
I'm paying back into it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And okay, I see someone with the iPhone. There's no name, but let me say something. Thank you, my iPhone. And by the way, just in case you're wondering if Titi works for Marshall Tech, in reality, no, she's not employed to because advertise, but I get where she's coming from in terms of what she said. And just to let you know, last December, Tutu did a free cybersecurity fundamentals training for people through Marshall Tech, right? To think that a few months before then, she didn't even know anything about cybersecurity. To get to a point where she could confidently teach this things from a layman's point of view, where everybody would understand it, right? And so, with she's saying all that, that's where that is coming from. And of course, like they say, one good turn to another. I don't know if that's the right thing to say here, but she feels like if she benefited that way, others can too. Like, in fact, others should, right? So I'm just putting that there. So just in case you think, oh, they pay her anyways. And that's why she's saying what she's saying.
Sorry, sorry, I do that sometimes. If you get to know me, you will know that that's how I talk. I apologize.
No, I just because this the other thing, girl, she's getting paid to do it anyway.
No, no, I'm not. I'm not really.
So okay. Thank you, Tutu. Thank you very much for that. I know people still want to hear you complete your story.
Yes,
I,
please complete the story.
iPhone. I don't know who that is behind iPhone, but you have your hand.
My apologies, it's Titi here.
Oh, okay, please ask a
I don't know,
question.
I just joined with my phone and and it just brought it automatically. Hi everyone. Mukhtar knows my story, right? And I'm sure Sulia does. I've been battling with this imposter syndrome for the longest time. Mukhtar will say, apply for manager roles, and I'll be like, how can I do it? I would say I have a background in audit. I came into Canada. I worked in audit for over 7 years. I came into Canada. I went back to school like Elizabeth. I got a cybersecurity diploma, and I I'm a CPA. Also have ACCA, and I wrote my CISA, Computer Security Plus. I currently work with a telecoms provider, but not doing what I really love. And sometimes I feel like, can I do it? Every time I second guess myself. How do you overcome, this spirit that tells you that you can't do it? And you see roles, and when you talk to friends, I've spoken to friends that, I just talk to them, we're just gisting, and they'll say, oh, Titi, and I saw this thing, and I think I can do it. And I'm like, yeah, this is what you do. And I had a friend that actually got a job. I helped with the resume and stuff, even before Mukhtar and I started talking. And I'm still struggling with, getting something that I really want to do. And I still feel like every time I want to, um, I see a job description and I'm like, I can't do it every time. And Mukhtar would say, yes, you can do it. Apply for manager roles. And I tried once and I got a rejection for a manager role. And I felt like, well, maybe they don't want me. It keeps going like that. But with this, and I feel like I hear your stories and it resonates with me, right? But I go back to myself and I start to second guess myself again. How do I fight this spirit?
I'll
Interesting.
say just do it. I mean, it's that simple. You know what, Titi, just do it. I mean, keep on applying. Don't never mind the rejections. Rejections sometimes would come. They will pour in your meal just on to the next thing. You will never feel ready. If you're waiting for a time when you think you will be ready, you will never feel ready. Just do it. I mean, suddenly you realize that you look back and like, oh, I'm doing that thing today, but I was afraid of it. I mean, a few months back. There is no formula to it. Every one of us, or almost every one of us have this imposter syndrome. I can tell you that even today, when I see another role that like, but I've done so many things. But to apply to it, that like, am I sure I can do this thing? Am I sure I won't go and be exposed as a fraud? It comes. But you must perish that thought and those voices in your head. The formula is just go ahead and do it. Just apply to that role. I mean, let them be the one to tell you that you're not qualified. Don't tell yourself that you're not qualified. Do you get? Don't tell yourself that let them disqualify you. Trust me, you will definitely get that role. With all the things you mentioned, your CPA, you are. I mean, I think those things are for smart people, and I don't doubt that you'll be able to achieve. I mean, with what you said, all you just need to do is just do it right now.
Absolutely. Thank you. I always tell her she's sitting on gold. Because you're an accountant, you have a CPA, you have your CISA. Come on, what are you with? And you've done audit. It's not like you're even trying to figure out which experience to bring to the like you've done it. What are you waiting for? Right?
He hasn't paid me yet. That's why.
Is
Who's
that
that?
right?
Who's that? So I can pay you. Thank you, Bamishe. Thank you. Okay. So my mantra going forward now is the worst they'll say is no, right? So I will do it.
They wants to disqualify you. I said something. This thing is all. It's if you understand the science behind it, you totally start dismissing the body. Is your brain telling you, oh boy, the opposite of fear isn't the ability to do stuff. The opposite of fear is knowledge. When your brain tells you that you can't do this thing, it's just trying to tell you that there's something about this thing you don't know. Learn it. Learn it. So it's if you understand the physics behind it, whether it's biology or physics, whichever one, if you understand the science behind it, you begin to attempt a lot of things. Don't be the first person to disqualify yourself. Like I said, the way you sell your market is the way people will help you to buy it. So apply for it. If I open my box for you, you'll be shocked. It's as if there's a dedicated tab for failure. We are sorry, we are sorry, we are sorry. Now every we are sorry makes me feel okay. Now I know I'll get this one. Let me try this about one. Let me try it. What do you have to lose? Nothing, right? Just go for it. And that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, thank you. And again, it's part of the process. Like I say to everybody, oh yeah, I got rejection today. Yes, you will get rejections. Even if you have the perfect profile, before you saw the advert, before you apply, they even feel like you are qualified for what they're looking for. They look at your profile and say, we can't pay this guy. So many things that are outside of your control. But the challenge with us is when the rejection comes, we see it about ourselves. Oh, what am I not doing right? It's always the question. It's not about, okay, that's it. Let's move on to the next one. Right. And remember that all you need is the 1 yes. So if you know that the what you need is 1 yes, you can apply to 50 jobs, 100 jobs. You can't take more than the maximum you take 3 at a time because of the nature of the environment. People do 2, 3 jobs these days, right? But that's the max except you're a consulting firm where you have consultants. But you can't take more than that at a time, right? So remember that all you need is the 1 yes. So 1 no, even you get to the final stage of an interview and they come back to say, oh, sorry, we went with someone else. It's not about you. Yes, ask for feedback and they'll tell you, right? But it's not always about you. So if you have that mindset, you would not always second guess yourself. Roy, please go ahead.
So I just wanted to share my experience in regards to
rejection and things. So my own personal story is for the better part of last year, I was applying to cybersecurity roles and I was getting rejected. I was getting rejected. I would go back to Mukhtar. It's like, dude, this thing is not working. Let's look at your resume again. In fact, there'll be days where if I hadn't heard back from people by 9 a.m., I'll just be like, well, that's the end of the story, man. And, I would move on. So then I would say the market opened up, or then I started getting calls. Right. So the job I do now, the truth is, it wasn't even my latest resume that got me the job. By the time the recruiter called me, I had to tell the guy to please send me my resume that I used to apply and the job description because I'd forgotten. My resume had gone through so many iterations after I applied for that job. So I didn't even know. So the point I'm trying to make is not even to belabor the topic. It's rejections are just part of the game. You would fall 1,000 times, but what makes you a strong person is you getting up every time after you fall. So please don't take rejections as something that is bad. Just take it as something that would make you grow, something that would make you stronger. Because by the time you start seeing the fruit of your labor, you'll be overwhelmed by it. You'd be surprised that even jobs that rejected you before, they will come back to you. Maybe you were second in the interview, or maybe you were the second person. The person that they picked wasn't even as good. They now went back to review their resume bank and see yours again and then reach out to you. So rejections are just part of the game. So please don't take it to heart. Just take it as part of the process and believe in yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. And Greg, you talking, I just remember the conversation we had. That's it. It's about mindset. If you believe that it will happen, then it will happen. If you're applying to jobs and a part of you is already saying, they won't call me anyways, like just like the other ones. I tell you, they won't. Nothing happens in that space. It's the way the universe works. I believe that's the way the universe works. It's your mindset matters a lot. It doesn't mean if your mindset changes today, it will happen immediately. But it plays a part in you starting to see positive results. Right. And rejection, like you said, positioning yourself matters. I remember a company that rejected me, God knows how many times. How many times here in Edmonton? And of course, I moved on. I was like, okay, maybe I'll never. Okay, they come back and say, sometimes they say you're overqualified. The recruiter comes back to me and say you're overqualified or whatever. And to me, at the time, of course, it was bad. But then I looked at it and said, if they keep telling me I'm overqualified, maybe I need to do better. Maybe I need to do better. So, of course, I improved on myself. I did other things. And later on, they came back asking me to come join them. No. They came back like 3 times asking me to come join them at a different role or like in a different role. I think it was I can't remember what the title was, but it was a different role, higher role. And eventually, after like 3 attempts, I joined them. And 3 months later, I quit. And it was just my way of telling them I can do what you did to me. It was not the right. I don't advise anyone to do it. It's not the right thing. I don't recommend it. But again, it tells you that rejection is not the end of the road. If you make it like there's something called confirmation bias. If you make it, oh, they rejected me. I already knew I couldn't. I already told myself I can't do it. Or someone even already told me I can't do it. Then you will never do anything good. Of course, you're seeing doctor in front of my name today. If you know the story behind me being a doctor, you probably laugh a bit. During my masters, I was so bad at research that I was part of a group, and the guy said, "You said you want to do a PhD. You would need another 2 years of extra study to do a PhD." I looked at him. You know the funny thing, the guys I did my PhD in the UK. The guy is in Canada, he's Canadian. We met in Edmonton, and I reminded him what he said. It's like I didn't have to do an extra 2 years. I just focused. But thank you anyways because you helped me. Right. My first year of doctoral college, I was 3 months away from being thrown out of doctoral college. I did my first year defense, and they told me this is not it. This is not even close. We don't think we'll give you 3 months to get this to where it needs to be, but we don't think you can do it in 3 months. But we'll still give you because that's what the school recommends. I took that 3 months and everything changed. And I'll tell after that 3 months, remember I had a 3 month delay. to get my first year done. A whole year's worth of work, get it in 3 months. I did that, and I got to the defense again, and they asked my supervisor, "How much of this work did you do for him? Why would I do it? If I did it for him, he would not be here to defend it, right?" And what changed there was what I put into it. How much I told myself, if the world rejects you, don't reject yourself. And I finished my PhD in record time, despite the delay. I finished in less than the time everybody else who started together finished. I was the first to. I finished in May 2018. Everybody else finished because PhD is not like you started together then you have to finish together. Some finished a few years later, but a lot of the others that finished the same year finished 6 months later, and I was the only one with that delay. So just remember that it's not going to be plain sailing. If everyone tells you it's going to be smooth, it's a lie. But you just have to keep going anyways. Roy, I still see your hand up.
Oh no, sorry, I forgot to put it down.
Right. Okay. Does anyone have a question for our guests? We have 4 minutes to the end of the program. We're supposed to be like that time where we start to
Yes,
network.
we are still waiting for Mayokun to finish his story.
Okay.
There's
So your
a
negotiation
please.
story. Okay.
question in the chat. There's a question in chat. Someone is asking if they can ask a question out of what is being discussed.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Please go ahead. Laser iPhone, please. You can unmute and ask a question. You're muted, but we can't hear you. Okay. If we can't hear you, if you want to put it in the chat, we'll address it. Maybe you're muted. Want to check here. Okay. While we're waiting for him to unmute or put it in the chat, Mario, do you want to finish that negotiation story?
Oh, I was wondering which story is this? Oh, I got it now. I got it stuff. So, I was going into that job thinking about what's the max. I've heard people say 100, 120. So if they tell me 100, I'll tell them, can you make it 120 and stuff like that. And then the first offer the guy was giving me was 150. I said, so this is how this guy sees me. Meanwhile, I would have shot myself. And if I told them I want 100K, they'll give me. If I
Yes.
told them 20, they would give me. And I'll go back to tell them that I'll go back to tell my friends, oh more, that interview was I quote big money and they gave me. And I won't know that I actually shot myself low. But I said something and then that made them gauge me in a certain way. Right. And this is why I talk about presenting yourself in the way you want people to address you as well. Uh, you already know everything you need to know. There's nothing new. Go there and give them your best. Remember, interview is a sales process. It's a sales process. Someone needs something, right? They have the money to pay for it. Now, just like you and I understand that these people are human too. They think exactly the way you think. If you take $100 to the market and then you want to buy something and you look at the thing you want to put the money on, in your mind, this thing cannot be more than $20 now. Why are they charging me $100? I won't pay. It's usually a case of who can sell and market the product better than the others. True. Because the real test of knowledge or the real test of value is when the person starts working on the job. Everything, so the negotiation process is just don't be the first person to lower your own self. I got the job, 150K, I'll tell you, the lowest I've earned in Canada. This might be surprising to a lot of people. I'm barely 1 year old. I'm a baby in Canada. But yeah, and I think Egbewale's mic is back
It's
on
back.
now.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yes.
Yes. Good day. I really enjoyed the professional. Let me put it that way. The professional speaking, because it was actually a friend of mine that connected me that sent a link to me. So basically, I've gathered a lot of information, but mine, like I dropped on the comment section. I once worked in the port as a distress response personnel, and then I moved to Dubai after COVID XYZ. And now I'm presently in the UK, and I've done research and business analysis XYZ. So I was able to jot it down to the fact that okay, cybersecurity will fit in because I worked as a security supervisor back in Dubai, and my first degree is also criminology. But transiting into tech, into cybersecurity, is something I want, but I don't know the basic skills because definitely I know my resume has to be fine tuned. That one is even the number one thing. But what are the basic skills? I know mindset and determination is key as well. But what are the basic skills that's needed to because I'm looking into GRC. That's an aspect of cyber security is a non-tech because I'm not really too good with the technical aspect. So that's why I already choosing GRC. Yeah, that's my question.
Thank you for asking. That's a very good question, and I like that you said you're looking at the GRC space because something silly I said at the start that I don't know how many people took note of is that you have to focus on your strength. You have to double down on your strength, and of course, not focus too much on your weaknesses because you coming from the marine industry, it's a highly regulated industry as well. Healthcare is highly regulated, just like Celia. Of course, she has a background in healthcare, and that's what you have to do. Look at you're probably looking at data protection. You're looking at risk management. You're looking at privacy because that's what you do on a day to day. That's what you can relate to when you start to learn it and start to think about what you did in the marine space or what you're doing in healthcare. You start to see some of these things, and that's the first place to start. You translating it, yeah, you might need some guidance because sometimes it doesn't come easy for everybody to really see that picture. Like to really, oh yeah, I'm learning this thing, it's making sense, but is it really the same thing as what I did? Usually, 90% of the time, it is the same thing. It's just about how can you convey that, how can you tell that story, right, to the other person that is ready to listen. So you learning that first is the first thing you have to learn it. Because if you don't learn it, you would not know how to translate your experience to that new thing that you've learned. You will not know how to use the lingua, right? Or how to use it in the context of cybersecurity. So you need to learn it first. You need to build competence. That's very important. That competence would, just like Mayokun said, knowledge brings confidence, right? That competence would help you build your confidence to say, oh, I put this thing on my resume, I can defend it to the T, right? And really, that's the starting point. And the rest will be you about presenting yourself well, getting yourself noticed, and of course, taking the interviews, having those conversations, and landing the job. That would be my recommendation to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would actually, because I think a friend of mine is into project management, and she also advised that based on, because since I'm into distress, whatever security, and based on my first degree and everything and healthcare, that it would be advisable to look into GRC, especially risk management as a beginner coming into cybersecurity space. Then from risk management, then I can brush myself up, go to boot camps, certifications, reading, and get to it. So I think you've really answered the question. So I'll be looking forward to working with you and Madam as well.
For sure.
As soon as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that you booked the call. Yeah, definitely we'll be happy to work with you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right. We're already over time. I'm happy to stay a bit longer if guest speakers are happy to say if there's any other question in the chat or so anyone wants to ask a question or even a contribution to everything that's been said.
All I want to suggest is about networking, right? I see that I already am connected with Mayokun. I sent one to Tutu now, but I couldn't find Soji. And sometimes your name might be different on LinkedIn. Is there a way we can maybe drop our LinkedIn profiles or something if people are comfortable with it, right?
Actually, thank you for that. That's actually the final step in this networking. If you want to come on camera, you want to share, you want us to see you, it's an opportunity to network. So Network with the guest speakers, network with yourselves. If you see that, okay, this person has gone through this journey recently and I'm about to start, network with them, connect with them, let them help you build your confidence and so yeah. So Bamishe's LinkedIn profile and Marathon's LinkedIn profile are in the chat. You can connect with them. And of course, they're, as you can see, they're wonderful people to connect with. And they'll be happy to help in any shape or form. So if anyone wants to come on video, you have something outside of what we're discussing that you want to even share, we have 5-10 minutes to do that. I'll put my own, just in case anyone is not connected with me. I'll put my LinkedIn the link to my profile on there, and I'll see if you want to do the same.
Yes, I will. If you can also put Marshall Tech websites and
That's
LinkedIn
right.
profile on there also.
So yeah, I'll put Tech's LinkedIn profile there too. So follow us. We share a lot of good things almost on a daily basis. You can learn from it. Do you have the link to our Telegram? So we have a Telegram,
Yes.
it's free to join. And really what we do is knowledge sharing. What we do is knowledge sharing, nothing more. We share projects there that you can take on if the point you're in is, oh, I have the knowledge, I need some projects to boost my confidence. We share a lot of projects there that you can benefit from. Right. So this is the link to Marshall Tech's LinkedIn. And Celia, do you have the Telegram link? I don't have it. So and if you have any concerns, you need any help, you can always put it there. There are lots of people there that would rally around and help you. Okay, so I think a lot of people should put in their profile link. So please connect with each other. And what I also recommend when it comes to LinkedIn is don't just connect with people, engage with them. Maybe you're sending them emails to like add value to them or at least ask questions. Or when they post, comment on it, react to it. What that is doing, you're helping them help yourself. So you're helping them to help yourself. Because like there's no such thing as a hidden talent. Right? The only way people would notice, the world would notice you is when you're engaging on a professional platform like LinkedIn. Comment on people's profile, their network will notice you, their network will notice you. If you do that often, they know, oh, this guy or this lady here or this person here is knowledgeable. And recruiters reach out from there. Even the opportunities you don't apply to, they reach out from there. I know Maya Kun can attest to that. I definitely can attest to that. How you would not even apply to an opportunity or something you've posted or something you've talked about. A company somewhere, they have that problem. And they reach out and say, oh, you mentioned this thing. And we need, can we have a conversation around it because we have that problem. Trust me, maybe you're landing yourself a consulting gig. And you become a consultant without even being ready for it. It happens. So
I was going to say something on this. Just immediately you mentioned it. Totally unrelated. Totally unrelated. And I know we're already out of time. Please, just let me give you these 2 minutes. You have a lot of friends, apart from all of the people that are connecting right now. We have a lot of friends that you already have in your circle. And I ask, what do your friends know about you? Right? We all have friends, and our friends have us for different reasons. Like, for instance, I have some friends that we just talk about music. I play music, I play keyboard, piano boy. So this is all they know, right? When an opportunity for something that you know about comes up, you're not the first person they would think about. I'm sorry, because they just know you as that guy. We they go watch
we
football
party
together. A
together.
Barca fan on a Chelsea. Do they know this other side of you? And this is where, start to talk to people about what you do. Go on LinkedIn, let them see that, oh, this particular post, when this person posts something around this thing, this person is always liking it. Or, you can just repost. You don't even have to generate content. Just go to people that are already doing what you want or what you like. Marshall Text post something, go on that page, repost it. It's not a business.
Yeah.
Let people just see that, okay, this person is about this kind of business. It's not about Chelsea, about AFCON, that guy they play forward. Omo.
This person. There's no way. That's who I am. I can't. You can't take that part of me away from me. I'm that person, and I'm also. Okay, I'm party within my circle.
Sure. If you don't mind, if you just give me like 2, 3 minutes to just
Sure, please.
my name is Temitope and
If you want to turn on your
sorry,
video,
I'm
that would be
I'm
awesome.
looking so so okay.
Yes,
Okay. So actually, when I came to Canada in 2019, the first person I probably met, this just to like reinforce everything that our guests today have said and what Mufta have also shared with us, right? So the first person I met with was Mufta's brother, right? So and he was telling me we always go to Breading together to go and like looking for job and all that. And he was sharing his story with me, and he told me that he got a job with a company and they're paying him so amount. But after 3 weeks, he quit. He quitted. And I was like, now I'm done. I'm made, right? And you know, he said he quitted. And later he told me he got another job and this job is going to around 6 figures. I was But through him, I pivoted to cybersecurity core. Of course, I'm earning that range of 6 figures as well now. And every time I have issues and I call him, he'll be like, "Hey, Tell me, are you still holding on to that job? You can make more money. Why are you like, So it's very important that you know what you want. You have that positive mindset. You have a mentor, which is very important. And I think Masha Tech is also doing well in that front. That mentorship is very, very important. You need it. Till today, if I have any problem in cybersecurity and I'm kind of confused. Even though I'm like in the technical side, I'll always call Ayo and say, Ayo, this is what is going on. And Ayo is a where I've told you this and this and this are what you should do too. And it has been helping me. So I wish you guys all the best in your journey.
Thank you for sharing that, Mtoka. I appreciate it. Yeah. Again, it's always the same. Your network is your network, right? Use it. You can have a network if you don't use it to your advantage, nothing is going to happen. They will not come and find you and say, "Oh, this opportunity is here." You have to always show up. Thank you for sharing that, Mtoka. Okay. Any last words from our from our guest, and then we can call it a day or a morning, depending on where you're. Right. Any last words?
Yeah, I think you wrapped it up beautifully. What I would just say is that it's important that you believe in yourself. I think Maracon stressed that a lot. It's so important you believe in yourself. Um, Being in a space where you have never been to, it's possible, even though you probably think you cannot do it. I mean, as I heard people on the call say that your profile is intimidating, I had to look at myself again, like, is that really true? Because honestly, I don't even feel like that right now. But again, it shows that I've done some pretty good stuff in the last few years. And we can also not stress enough the fact that have meaningful conversations with your connection. Like I said, I know people know that, I mean, network is important, but I mean, like someone like JML now, I milk him a lot. Many times, I mean, when I need to have conversations with him, I just have casual conversation and I listen closely to what he says. There are some people on this call, I don't know whether they are there, that they have said some things just in my engagement with them that completely transformed my views and the way I've done things. One of them is Fisayo. I don't know if Fisayo is still on the call. I mean, these are great people that have really helped me in my journey. So it's important to actually have very meaningful conversation when you engage with your network.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you. Mayako, anything to share?
I think everybody has said all the wonderful stuff. I'd say it's a quote. It's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have it than to have the opportunity and not be prepared for it. So just
Absolutely.
go for it. It's possible. Uh, if this Abekuta boy can do what I'm talking about, then why can't you do it? Most of you are even better than me. And if we can do it, you're probably going to do much more. Maybe you're the one in your way. So take that step today and everything is going to change.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And I guess to give us the vote of thanks, I'll pass it to Celia to wrap this up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bamishe and Mayokun, and thank you everyone for joining us. This has been very impactful. I I wish everyone have learned a thing or two from this session. From all the stories that we've told. I know so many people have heard Mukta's story all over and over again, but it's nice to hear from other people that it is possible, like what it has said, always show up. A lot of people we have resources around us, a lot, but we are not using it. Like Bamishe said, have meaningful conversations. When you are around your network, what do you discuss with them? It's not all about play, play, play. Who are you? Like what Mayako said, who are you? What do you want to see you as? So those things are very, very important. Thank you. We really appreciate all of you for coming, and we wish you a very best of will I say luck? Said
Yeah,
it.
it's luck
Luck.
in this land and wherever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
luck. Yeah, to everything you're doing moving forward. Yeah,
Yeah.
cheers to success.
Cheers to success. Cheers to thriving. Thank you
Yes,
all.
cheers
Enjoy
to
the rest of the
thriving.
weekend.
Thank you,
And
guys.
thank you, Abhishek.
All right.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone. Bye.
Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.